How did you first find out about fishing? How did you start fishing?
I started fishing, I think, about the age of 7. I went out with my dad and his friend in a boat, and I think I had another sibling in the boat as well, but I can't really remember that. And I caught an octopus and a flathead double header.
What?
And everybody was like, wow,
That's incredible.
And as a child, it really gets you going.
Well, get me going as an adult. Flathead's one of my favourite fish.
But nobody else caught anything that day, so I was the winner of the day, basically. And as a child, yeah, you just like it once you've caught a fish.
Yeah.
I think catching that first fish makes you get excited.
So do you have a favourite thing to take fishing?
I used to have a beautiful boat rod, and that's caught me heaps of fish. But I just put it in the bin about a week ago.
Did you really? After all that?
After all that time, I could have cried. It even had Janice written on it because my husband put Janice on. But no, that was my favourite rod, and it just basically fell apart after all these years. So yeah, that was my favourite thing. But
tell us about this photo.
This one would have been, I think I would have been in my late 20s, maybe 30s, I think. And I was down at Robe fishing off the rocks, as you can tell. And I got a feeling that's kind of like my favourite rod there in my hand, but
is it really?
Might not have been.
You look like you're enjoying it.
I always enjoy fishing. Doesn't matter where we are. I mean, as we get older, we're a little bit more hesitant, but I think you feel the cold a bit more and things like that. But you still love fishing anyway.
Jan, you used to do a fair bit of competitive fishing in your time.
I did.
Yeah. Tell us about this photo here.
This one was already in the club probably for about a year. I became state champion and club champion in the year.
So what club was that?
Western Districts Fishing Club. So it was like a whole year of fishing, which meant beach fishing, boat fishing offshore, estuary fishing, which is rivers, that sort of thing. So it was a variety of fishing. And I've also done a lot of individual wins, I should say, through the club through the year in individual things as well. So that was an overall thing.
How did you first hear about that club?
Well, my husband was fishing with the club to start with, and I was always working, so it wasn't teeing up with joining. But then it came time that I could join, so I did. And straight away, because I've sort of fished all my life anyway, it fitted in really well.
Okay. And is that like male, female, all ages? What kind of club is it?
It's for everybody.
Yeah.
Young, old, they had veterans and juniors, so all age groups, women by themselves, men by themselves, so it's for everyone.
And so were you mainly fishing on your own, or were you in a team?
Well, most of the time I did fish individually, but I was with the women's team as well for different things. They have different variety of things. In AAA you fish with a team and you fish by yourself as well, and that's part of Western Districts as well. They're both joined. It was a team effort, the girls, and we won the actual AAA championship for beach and rock, and so of course you're fishing off the beach. So, and that was when we were actually standing in the pouring rain.
Were you?
And that was nearly probably 5 or 6 hours worth of fishing, I think, stood in the rain, and we caught all sorts of fish. Yeah, no, we actually did really well that day, and Mr. Alvey himself presented us with an Alvey reel. And
did you all have to fight
an
over
Alvey
it?
hat.
Girls had to fight over it. Which one of you is allowed to have it?
No, we all got one each.
I got one each.
Yeah, great big Alvey reel. Our names are all on the plaque and it stays there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, my name's up on the it was on the Western Districts board for being club champion, and overall I think I came fourth as a female, which we're talking about going up against, I think it was New Zealand, New Guinea, all of Australia. So we did really well as the girls.
That is impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, we actually won the whole thing as the girls team.
Okay, so what's happening in this photo, Jan?
Well, this photo was for AAA, and we went to and Western Anglers. So we all went over to Kangaroo Island, and we fished competition for 3 weeks, which was offshore beach and rock, and estuary. And because we had a boat, we did all three really. And this photo shows you that we've got all the fish on the tables and it's all getting weighed and sorted.
Is that like your day's catch, or what is that?
Yeah, no, that was a day's catch. Yeah, we did that every day. And the locals would come down and they would get the fish.
Really?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but anyway, they did. And yeah, no, it was a really good time. We had a really good time doing that.
What's happening in all this seaweed, Jan?
Okay, now I think we're pretty sure, if I remember rightly, we're fishing for mullet there, and you had to see that there was like a gully, and that's club.
Yeah.
It was a club trip. That's me in the middle, and we had to get our bag limit of mullet, which I think, if I remember rightly, was about 50.
Wow, how long did you have to get it?
Well, you could go all day, basically from when they start, which start time is the same time for everyone, which was about 10 o'clock, and you might go right through till probably about 3. It depended on the tides as well. They tried to tie it in. So, but you nearly did get most of your bag limit. And then you could fish other fish as well. Whatever you got, you could, add in. But let's say, for example, if you've got a flathead, you've got to make sure you debarb it. If you didn't debarb it, you'd be disqualified.
Okay.
Straight away. That's all your fish. All gone.
Really?
So, yeah, they've got strict rules.
What about the weather? Like, and they're doing a competition like that. And
Weather, it doesn't really matter. If it's really raining, which was on KI, when we had to do our beach fishing, it was pouring down with rain. We're in our waterproof, like yellow jackets and pants and things, and you just stood there in the pouring rain and still caught fish.
And the mullets don't mind it?
No. Sometimes if the barometer's dropping, fish really like that and they'll bite. That means it's a good day and then it's going to drop down to a bad day.
Okay.
In temperature, and then fish might bite better.
Okay, so this is a pretty fancy looking boat. Tell us about this.
Oh, this is one of many boats that my husband purchased. We've gone through that many. We've had dinghies, we've had slightly bigger boats, we've had big wooden boats. We went to a tinny from there because we downsized, and now we haven't got the tinny anymore.
Yeah.
And this one is probably
now you're
one
like
of the
land-based.
We are pretty much land-based, yeah. As the older that you get, I think you tend to get a little bit weary of being on the sea anyway. Well, some girls do.
Yeah, I mean,
and some guys do.
I get seasick anyway, so.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not such a natural thing, but I mean, going down to the beach and fishing is a bit more natural, isn't it?
And it's
to put
low
your legs
fuss.
on water. And your limits have been cut back on bag sizes. So by the time you pay your boat ramp fees and you pay your petrol and you pay for your registration and you pay for your bait and everything else, you may as well just walk down the beach with your rod, and if you catch a fish, it didn't cost you a cent.
It didn't cost you anything.
To get there.
To me as well, it's like it's freedom. Being able to just throw the rod in down at the beach is freedom.
It is.
And it can be more spontaneous, whereas I think when you have a boat, it requires a bit more organisation and planning, but also money. So Jan, you've done so many things during the course of your life around fishing. What is it that you're most proud of?
I would say most proud of being state champion, club champion, but that doesn't mean that I want to put myself on a pedestal either. It was just exciting doing it at the time.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah. There was a lot involved in that too, like I went to Lake Bonnie, for example, once, and we caught carp. Well, I caught 44 kilo of carp.
Wow.
I think I might have done 44 point something, but a lot in one day.
Yeah.
I think you're always proud when you bring home a fish. And you're lucky.
I can relate to that because I do. I feel proud when I eat my own food. There's something about it, that feeling of providing for yourselves.
Well, that's
and
true.
it cost you a fortune if you went and bought decent sized fish.
Well, it does, yeah. I mean, you're looking at 44, maybe plus kilo for garfish.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're looking at 70, I think, nearly now for whiting. So, there's a big margin there.
Okay, so what about this one?
This one, that was a whiting that I caught. We would have caught a lot more that day, obviously. We usually do. No, my biggest one, we were down at Second Valley Caravan Park.
Yeah.
Camping. And they had a competition on just within the caravan park. And my biggest one was 57 centimetres that day.
Wow, was that out on the boat?
That's a big whiting. Yeah. Yeah, no, we went out in the boat.
Yeah. And what about this one? Wow.
That one, the two, like pan-sized snapper they're called. They're just legal, but they were caught down at Carricklinga.
Truly? On your boat again?
Only in a tinny, but not far offshore.
Really?
Yeah. On this day, we actually caught a few, so I gave a couple away. And that was, you know, a couple of people on the boat. So you're allowed so many, and yeah, I gave a few away.
So Jan, at this time of your life, when you're moving into retirement, where do you like to fish now?
Anywhere really. Basically Normanville, Waipinga, anywhere down the south end. And if I'm on holiday, yes, I always love to fish, so I can't really specifically say because there's lots of places around South Australia even you can fish, or around Australia.
Yeah. And what's your favourite fish to catch and why?
Well, I really did like catching whiting off the boat, but now that I'm basically on the beach, I do like garn, I do like whiting, but I also like squid, and flathead's beautiful. So yeah, I can't really specifically say one fish.
Yeah.
Because everybody likes just to catch something.
So Jan, when did you last go fishing?
Oh, a couple of weeks ago, and we got 40 gar. I gave a few to a little boy down the beach for his family, and we caught them off the beach.
Wow, 40 gar.
I'll tell you a little funny story that happened in Tasmania. Went down to the jetty, and my husband and I saw these ladies all lined up along the jetty, and they're all sitting down. And all of a sudden, well, we put our rods in too, and we were sitting there, and they told us to use chicken. And I'd never used chicken before, and all of a sudden the lady up the very end says, "They're coming." And all of a sudden that lady up the end caught a fish, and then the next one caught a fish, and then the next one caught a fish, and so on and so on. And everybody caught a fish. And what these fish were called wahoo. Never heard of them before.
Never heard of them.
Never fished for them before. And we still kept our rods in the water, and then the person up the very end, that was the last person to catch a fish, goes, "They're coming back." And then that person caught a fish, and so on and so on and so on, and that was it. Once that happened, it was all over. But everybody caught 2 fish, and it was gone.
Wow. Anything else you want to tell fishing sisters that might be watching?
I would just say have fun, and don't take it so seriously. And if you're not sure, ask anybody, and people will always be happy to help.
I've really appreciated hearing your stories and sharing in your knowledge. You've certainly had so much experience in fishing, and wow, some of those photos, they really speak for themselves. That was great.
Thank you.